Hey there, who's that? I'm just waiting for some people to come online, and then we'll get into it. We'll just give it a couple of minutes. Yeah, tonight we're talking about income tax. Hey Toby. So we're going to be talking about income tax and the Australian Tax Office and their legitimacy. Basically your rights. Hey Danny, how are you, bro? Good seeing you today, mate. Glad you could join. So we've got 2 people on. If there's anyone else on there, I'm only seeing 2 on there. I just want to wait for a couple more people. And then we'll get started. If you're on there, just comment hello. Whereabouts are you in the world? It's Thursday, the 10th of May. My brother's birthday today. Happy birthday, Joey. Hope you had a good day. And yeah, so tonight we're talking about income tax and the Australian Taxation Office. Are they a legitimate government body or not? Hello, Persephone. I hope I pronounced that right. So the first thing I want to touch on really is what I've learned from speaking to people is that most Australians are willing and happy to pay taxes as long as they see a benefit for themselves and for the country, and as long as that money stays within the country or the Commonwealth of Australia for Australians. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. The topics we're going to talk about tonight basically is income tax voluntary, and I'm going to be referencing the Australian Tax Office website for that. We're going to be talking about we're going to give the definition of taxation according to the Australian Constitution or the annotated Constitution of the Australian Commonwealth. We're going to talk about, again, is the Australian Taxation Office a legal entity? And we're going to be referencing a High Court ruling back in 2000. We're going to be speaking about... I'm going to give the definition of tax in accordance with the Oxford Australian Law Dictionary. We're going to talk about commerce versus income tax. And we're also going to go into, if we're not paying income tax, basically where's the money going to come from to support our country, our hospitals, our schools, our roads, everything that we need to evolve and grow and expand as a country. And all these things are things that you're not going to hear about on the mainstream media. You're not going to see the politicians talking about it on the 6 o'clock news. They're too concerned about talking about how much money they can get out of you and continue to get out of the Australian people. But they're not going to talk about the actual legal side of it and if it's actually lawful or if it's actually a requirement or a must for the Australian population. So, hey Chris, hey Leslie. Yeah, so let's get into it. Number 1, is income tax voluntary? So I was under the impression that income tax was, we had to pay that was enforceable by law, and it had to be done, you know. It wasn't voluntary, but from what I've read on the Australian Tax Office website, it seems to be not the case. So I'll just talk about that. And now I'm on the ATO website, and I'm under the heading Tax and Corporate Australia. First paragraph. An effective tax system supports the social benefits we all enjoy. Absolutely, that's great. The key to an effective tax system is a high level of willing participation. Willing participation. Important words. This is built on the community having confidence that all taxpayers are paying the right amount of tax and in us as administrators. We share our tax system insights with stakeholders to improve awareness and encourage voluntary compliance. And encourage voluntary compliance. Now, these words are key words, and we need to pay attention to these words, because this is where we're learning whether we must pay it or whether it's voluntary. And they're saying on their own website that I'm looking at right now, anyone could look it up, the ATO website under Tax and Corporate Australia. All I did was Google searched, what did I Google search? What was that? So I Google searched the Australian Tax Office and voluntary compliance, and many things came up with that. So you can have a go at that when you get off the computer or get online. So there we have it, basically on the Australian Tax Office website. And what else have we got? In the last paragraph of the same page, we take our responsibility to the people of Australia seriously. Here you'll find details on ways we're improving the system for those who want to comply, and how we're taking firm action against those who choose not to. We hope it provides you with an increased understanding of how Australia's tax system is operating for the largest corporations. So, hey Joey, hey Dahlia, hey Sonia, Betty, Dave, Nicole, Sherry, hello. Thanks for joining. And if anyone has any questions during this, please type them in the comments, and I'll endeavour to answer them at the end. I'll go back and do questions, but I'm going to move through this stuff pretty quick because we've got a bit of stuff to get through, and I don't want to keep it too long. So for those that have just tuned in, I've just read off the Australian Tax Office website. And I'm going to read the last line again. We share our tax system insights with stakeholders to improve awareness and encourage voluntary compliance. There it is, black and white on the website. And why I'm talking about this again, so I was watching The Drum on the ABC earlier, and there was a guy talking about taxation, and he said outright that, you know, it's a voluntary system. It's not a government system or enforceable by government. It is a voluntary system by the people of Australia. So we decide where our taxes go, or we're supposed to be choosing and deciding where our taxes go. So this is where we need to understand what's happening with our money. Do we need to pay it or not? Are we volunteering our money? And where's it going? You know, we're spending a lot of money. So, 2, taxation according to the Constitution. So I'm going to take a little bit of time here and just read out. I've got the annotated Constitution of the Australian Commonwealth here. Under subsection 164, taxation. Anyway, I'll just read it. So I'm going to line 4. Taxation became less feudal in its character, and the ancient aids, burdens and services, which is what feudal is receiving a service for your money. So the ancient aids, burdens and services were commuted into money grants and subsidies freely and voluntarily voted by Parliament representing the taxpayers. Taxation may now be defined as an exaction of money or revenue by the authority of a state from its subjects or citizens and others within its jurisdiction. Now, that sounds quite legitimate to me, and had I not been curious, I'd be pretty interested. I would just accept that and say, all right, well, that sounds legitimate. So what I did is I looked up the words I didn't understand, and the one that stood out to me was exaction. Taxation may now be defined as any exaction of money or revenue by the authority of a state. So what is an exaction? What does that mean? Well, according to Black's Law Dictionary, the 4th edition, where's it gone? An exaction. The wrongful act of an officer or other person in compelling payment of a fee or reward for his services under the colour of his official authority, where no payment is due. Underneath that, it says between extortion and exaction, there is this difference. That in the former case, the officer extorts more than his due when something is due to him. In the latter, he exacts what is not due when there is nothing due to him. So an exaction, which is what's written here in the Constitution, is what taxation may now be defined as, is a wrongful act of an officer or other person compelling payment or a fee or reward for his services under colour of his official authority where no payment is due. So that's the that's in the first few lines under the heading taxation in the Australian Constitution. Yeah, exaction. Wow, exactly, Gilly. It's you know, and all these words. This is where the magic happens. It's all in the wording, you know. And since I've started looking up words that I don't understand instead of skipping over them and just reading the main body, I've really learned a lot more about law and rights, and it's amazing what the words actually hold and the power they hold. So what are we up to next? Is the Australian Taxation Office a legal entity? And what I'm going to reference here is a High Court ruling from back in 2000. And I've got a High Court transcript here from, it's the Molika versus Chapman, 2000. This is the transcript. And I'm just going to skip through to a few lines because it's such a large body of text. Basically, we've got the Deputy Commissioner of Taxation. There's many other people. I'm going to read from basically 4 people here, or 3 people. We've got the Deputy Commissioner of Taxation. We've got a Senior Counsel, Mr. Logan, and we've got Mr. Fitzgibbon, who appears for the respondents. So this is where we get into, is the Taxation Office a legal or lawful government body? His Honour. Alright, so His Honour, Mr. Logan, the Australian Taxation Office is not a legal personality, is it? So Mr. Logan is representing the ATO here, or the Commissioner of the ATO. His Honour, Mr. Logan, the Australian Taxation Office is not a legal personality, is it? Mr. Logan, it is not. His Honour, it is not mentioned in the Act, is it? Mr. Logan, it is not a legal personality. His Honour, is it mentioned anywhere in the Act? No, it is not. Mr. Logan, a couple of lines down. What one sees, of course, is the Commissioner, Deputy Commissioner, and ability to delegate. So anyone has the ability to delegate. I have the ability to delegate. You have the ability to delegate. Anyone has that ability. It doesn't make it a lawful or a compulsory ability. Yeah, anyone can do that. His Honour. I've done that one. I'm just skipping through a few pages. His Honour, that does not matter. If in fact the Australian Taxation Office is not a legal personality, there is no point and no efficacy in the court making a declaration in respect of it. Now, what is the document that you say was taken out, to use your language, in the name of the Australian Taxation Office? Which document? So what he's saying there is he can't make a ruling if the ATO is not a legal personality. On the next page, he says, His Honour says, "You can see that there is no point in my making a declaration in respect of a factual situation which just does not exist. It is not pleaded, it cannot be pleaded, and does not exist." So you've got the representative of the ATO there stating that it is not a legal personality. And you've got His Honour stating that he can't make a ruling because it's not a legal personality. So there we have it. That's the High Court transcript of Molliker versus Chapman 2000. Very important information. So the tax definition. Well, what's the definition of tax in accordance with the Oxford Australian Law Dictionary, which I have here? A compulsory contribution payable to a national, regional or local government to pay for its activities and works. So a compulsory contribution payable to a national, regional or local government. Now what I've just read to you from the High Court transcripts is that it's not a legal body, it's not a government body, it doesn't have royal assent. Royal assent is required for any bill or organisation, be it de facto government or not. Royal assent is what is required for that bill to become law. And any action upon that bill or any use of that bill without royal assent is unlawful, and it is an infringement upon your rights. Commerce tax versus income tax. So I haven't read the Slavery Act of 1883 myself. I'm reading here from a document that I have. It is important to understand that taxes exist only in commerce, and the Abolition of Slavery Act 1833 states that, "May it please your Majesty that it may be declared and enacted, and be it enacted that from and after the passing of this Act, the King and Parliament of Great Britain will not impose any duty, tax or assessment whatsoever payable in any of His Majesty's colonies, provinces and plantations in North America or the West Indies, except only such duties as it may be expedient to impose for the regulation of commerce." Only such duties as it may be expedient to impose for the regulation of commerce. And that's I'm led to believe the Abolition of Slavery Act 1833. And I haven't read that act myself, so I can't confirm that, but it's an interesting one there that I wanted to point out. So why are we paying income tax? Where did it come from? Well, income tax began, or personal income tax began to pay for the debt associated with the Second World War. You know, according to the Constitution, the government has the authority to collect taxes to defend its country from threats without. And that's understandable. We all agree to that. You know, that's what we want. We want to be safe. It was supposed to be repealed after the war ended, but it hasn't happened. You know, we just keep paying it and paying it. It never stopped. We know it's voluntary. What have we got next? All right, so the big one. Everyone wants to know, if we're not paying income tax, how are we going to pay for our roads? How are we going to pay for our hospitals? How are we going to pay for our schools? How are we going to grow as a community and a country? Well, any idea how we stop paying? Yeah, I'm still working through that personally, and I've got a bit of work to do on it. But I'll get into that a little bit and share my understanding of that at the end. So if we don't pay income tax, where's the money going to come from? So basically, there's nothing in this country that we do not pay tax on. There is, well, nothing that I can think of that we don't pay tax on. So I believe we should renationalise our banks, and any profit that comes into our national banks stays in the Commonwealth, or a trust or a fund, the Australian Fund for the Commonwealth of the people of Australia. We should renationalise all our essential services. Any profits coming from that, which there shouldn't be any profits in nationalised essential services, because they're essential services. We shouldn't be paying profit on that or taxes on that, which we are at the moment. We're paying tax on everything. Import tax, importation tax. We need to increase importation tax, and if we're exporting our natural resources, we need to have a decent tax on that. The mining tax and the natural resource tax. Now, mining companies come in from overseas and they mine our Australia's, the Commonwealth's natural resources, and they take those profits offshore. Yeah, they employ Australians, yes, but they take the profits overseas. We need to have national mining if we're mining, and we need to keep the profits within Australia. There's no reason for that to be going offshore. And if we need the equipment, then we hire it from overseas. If not, we build it. We have the resources. We're in a resource abundant nation, country. We have it all here. We've got the people. We've got everything. I believe we need to have a heavy tax on anything that has a negative effect or burden on the natural person or the human being and the environment. And the reason we need heavy taxes on these is because, first of all, we want to subsidise healthy living. We want to subsidise organic farming and growth, and we want to subsidise healthy eating and healthy living. And we need to start. At the moment, it's a lot more expensive to eat healthy and live healthy than it is to eat junk food and poison yourself. And what that leads to is more hospital bills and more sick people and more medications. And it's backwards. We should be subsidising and encouraging healthy eating so that we have less health problems. We have less issues. We need less money for the health system because people aren't sick. We need alternative health methods. So heavy taxes on anything that causes a negative health impact on the human body or the country itself, the land itself, in order to pay for that and regenerate the land and the body. Corporate tax. Consumer tax. So if we want to consume non-essential items, then that's our right to do so. But, consuming lots may not be the best thing. And if we're going to consume and everyone has the right to consume, then we need to have a higher tax on consumption so we're not wasting things. We need to be conscious about what we're spending, what we're using, what we're buying, so we're not plunging our country further into debt. Because once we reach the debt ceiling and we've gone beyond that and our country becomes bankrupt, basically, from what I've heard, whoever's in charge may sign over all of our natural resources to whoever we owe the money to. Now, I've got a big problem with that because that's not theirs. Now, these people that are creating the money, that are lending it to us at interest, which means that we can never, ever get out of debt because all the money we get has interest attached to it. That's a private corporation. Why are we sending our money to private corporations? And that's what we're doing. A lot of our taxes are going to paying debts to private corporations such as the IMF or the Federal Reserve Bank. It's called the Federal Reserve Bank, but it's a private bank owned by private people. So all that money should be staying in Australia. Why? If we have a nationalised bank, we create our own money, our own currency, and any money that is made from that stays within the country. Registration fees. So this one for me, I got pulled over for my registration had expired. Why are we paying registration fees every year? You know, like registration is basically we are saying this is who we are, this is our vehicle. If anything happens, then this is where you can find me because you have my number plate, you know where I am. So we pay a one-off administration fee, whatever it costs for someone to input that in the computer and have that on the system and keep it going. Yeah, we pay that. But that's it. It should be one-off. You know, they're not doing that every year. We just keep paying it every year. Why? Nationalise insurance companies. If we want to have insurance, let's nationalise it. And anything from that stays within the Commonwealth. No income tax. Let's get rid of income tax. We don't need it. It's voluntary. The only reason we feel like we have to pay it is because it's the common belief of the Australian people. It's not a lawful or legal requirement for us to do so, though they'd like to make it out it is. But you just check their website and it says it's voluntary. So no income tax and no paying private foreign corporations. And what are the benefits? So if we don't pay income tax, right, what are the benefits of that for the country and the nation as a whole? Basically, we have a lot more money in every Australian's pocket. And what's that going to do? That is basically it's going to increase spending. It's going to boost the economy, and the money is going to stay in Australia. We're going to be able to pay our debts off a lot faster. We're going to be a lot freer to do the things that we're supposed to be doing, which is enjoying our life. We're not bred and born to be working 5 or 6 days a week until we're 75, like some people would like us to believe. That is not what we are here for. We are sovereign beings. We are born on this planet. You know, we're flying through space. We're not here to work and pay tax our whole life. And if people want to do that, that's great. That is their free will. But not everyone has to do that or should have to do that. We have a right to enjoy our life while we're here. We're only here for a short time. So you know, by not paying income tax, that's going to free up a lot of people, a lot of problems. You know, imagine what you could do with an extra 20, 30, 40, 50% of your wage. How much more you're going to be spending. You know, that money is going to be circulating in our economy. It's not going to be getting shipped off overseas. When it gets shipped off overseas, what happens? The value of our dollar, we need to create more money because we're sending our labour, basically. We're sending our labour overseas. We need to create more money, which reduces the value of our dollar, which, you know, isn't good for anyone. So that pretty much covers it. I'm going to go through and do the questions and comments. Hey, Camo. Hey, Samantha. Oscar. Dean. Scott. Hey, buddy. I'll just go through and see what we've got here. Toby's in Perth. How is it over there, bro? I keep meeting people from Perth. I feel like I'm supposed to go over there and surf or something. Just call me Pep. Hey, Pep. All right. Any idea how you stop paying income tax? So I've been doing a little bit of research on that myself, just a little bit because I've been so busy looking at other things. But basically it comes down to writing a letter to the Australian Tax Office and requesting them to show you that you are legally and lawfully required to pay income tax, and where you personally are liable to pay that. And that's what I'd be starting with. I'd be asking him for those details, and there's a lot more stuff. I'll probably do another video on it once I'm a bit better versed on it. But because they're not a legal, lawful entity, and because tax is voluntary, how can they come back with a true letter or correspondence and say that that's what's happening? You know, they can't. Toby, it's the birth certificate that isn't us but a slave, not the flesh and blood. Yeah, absolutely. And speaking about that, I did a little quick video on that today. And Dusty, it's all right. Sorry, so my dad's getting a massage. Someone's coming in. Dusty's probably going to bark. So Article 2 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I printed it out. It cost me about 20 cents. Dusty, come here. Come on. It's all right. So this is on the birth certificate and contracts such as licenses. Basically, everyone, this is Article 2. Everyone is entitled to all the rights and free... Oi, dude. It's all right, mate. Everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration, without distinction of any kind, such as race, colour, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth or other status. Furthermore, no distinction shall be made on the basis of the political, jurisdictional or international status of the country or territory to which a person belongs, whether this territory be an independent, being you, a trust, being the trustees, the government, or a non-self-governing territory, which means that could be, my understanding, that could be a state, such as Victoria, whereas I could be a sovereign self-governing body. So, or under any other limitation of sovereignty. Now that last bit there. So no distinction shall be made on the basis of the or under any other limitation of sovereignty. Now what's the limitation of sovereignty? That's a contract. That is a birth certificate, a license. You might be in prison, you know, that's a limitation of sovereignty. But at no stage, regardless of contracts, regardless of where you are, we're all entitled to the freedoms and rights of the Declaration. So, regardless of if you have a birth certificate or not, it doesn't make a difference. Just because we have a birth certificate or we have a driver's license, which we probably attained because we thought that we had to, and fraud vitiates any contract, which means that if we're under a contract such as a license because we thought we had to, however, it's not required to have a driver's license to drive on a public road. We have freedom of movement. So because we're under that, we're under that belief, and no one told us otherwise, the terms and conditions of the contract were not stipulated to us at the time of signing. That is fraud, and that vitiates the contract. It means the contract is null and void. So, yeah, we all have our rights and they're all intact. We just have to learn them and enact them. Danny's put a link there. I'm not sure which one that is. Federal budget. Thanks, Danny. Hey, Artie. Hey, Diffie. Hey, Bree. Gilly, exaction. Rebma, Ditsy Fitsy. I'm not sure what that means. Hey, Sherry. Hey, Ragu. Hey, Elle. Hey, Sheridan. Hello. Hey, Heidi. Hey, Kylie. Rebma Chapman. Crossing T's and dotting I's. Jack. Could you look up variations of contractual agreements, including emails? Could be insightful for anyone getting approached by an entity claiming to be a legitimate charity, etc. Could you look up the variations of contractual agreements? Personally, if to do with any contract, I would basically be looking at what the charge is. If I'm being charged in accordance with, because I'm allegedly obliged to a contract or under a contract because I've signed it, I'd just be looking at, did I know in good conscience that I would be liable to this prosecution had I once I agreed to that contract, and did I know that I had to even have that contract at the time? Again, we just spoke about that. Could be a good video for next time to expand on contractual agreement variance. Yeah, to be honest, I really don't have any idea about contractual agreement variance. And I've got a fair bit of other stuff that I'm doing at the moment. But yeah, and I just wanted to actually, I'll finish off the comments before I do. Collective exchange. So, I mean, I still believe that a government, especially in today's day and age, we need some form of governance. We need some sort of administrators. We need some sort of police. We need all these things because we have so many people. But it needs to be established. We need to have a new Bill of Rights drawn up that everyone is aware of, that is taught in our schools, so people understand and know their rights and what they are, and so they can no longer be infringed upon like they are every day. Could you look up contract law in the book and possibly the variations included, i.e. email contracts, which is insightful so we can bridge into... Do you mean like email contracts as in signing something, or... And which book are you referring to, Jack? Which one do you want me to look it up in? Toby, plenty of surf breaks. Yeah, I've heard it's pretty good. Gilly, awesome. I'll start writing a draft letter to the ATO now. Yeah, look, man, get on YouTube and get on the internet because there's so much stuff on there. There's people who've got websites. There's one, Know Your Rights. What's that one? What's that for one? This is a really, really good website, man. www.knowyourrightsgroup.com.au. Highly recommend anyone to get on that website and have a look. They've just got amazing information. They've got all the court appearances. It's all backed up by factual evidence. And as we all know, the High Court is the highest authority of the land. Hey Serena. Hey Stephen. Gilly, I love your work, mate. Thought about getting into law. Set up a GoFundMe. I'll back you for sure. Sweet, bro. I'm thinking about getting into politics, mate. To be honest, I'm just not seeing anyone leading our country that's actually speaking about things that are important that people need to know, So, yeah, I'm thinking about getting into politics. I just need to learn how to start a party and get some people in there. Redma, do your thing. Hey, Kyle. Gabrielle, hello. They have a great radio show on Tuesday nights. Can you give us a link or something there, please, Gabrielle? Hey, Wendy. Yeah, so I'll just speak real briefly on this one. And this goes hand in hand with the taxation and how we're all paying it, and we're paying it based on our belief system. And what this one talks about is the police. Now, this is really interesting because, where is it? So because I got pulled over for no registration, and basically I wanted to ask them, I want to see your lawful authority as to how you can charge me, because I don't believe that you have any, and I haven't seen any evidence that you are lawful. I haven't seen the royal assent. It may be there, it may not be there, but so I started reading through the, what's this one called? Started reading through the, because I've got so much time. The Police Regulation Act 1958, Section 15. If any question arises as to the rights of the Chief Commissioner or other member of the force to hold or exercise the duties of his office, common reputation shall be deemed prima facie evidence of such right. Common reputation shall be deemed prima facie evidence. So prima facie is basically on the face of it. You know, we're seeing them, they're in their uniform, they've got their cars, and the common reputation they have is basically what they're acting on, our belief system. And this is what I keep saying, we, the people, we hold all the power. We are the sovereigns. We are the power of this country. And as long as we believe that they are in power, then they will be. And it's all in black and white here. It's all in the acts. It's everywhere. And this is why this stuff's so fascinating to me. But that's the one on the police there. So it's the same with the tax office. Any bill, again, any bill or act that's been passed without royal assent is illegitimate. It's illegal. I did a post on it before. Where did I put that? Oh, it's in my phone. I did it on Facebook anyway. But, yeah, I just thought I'd share that. And I will be putting up my video that I did with when I was pulled over by the police. And there's a lot of things in there that I could have done that I probably didn't. And a lot of things I should have said or asked that I didn't. But I'm learning as I go. So I'm going to put that up soon. I'm just doing some editing, removing my address, and just putting some laws in there, some facts in there, so people can read it as they go along with the video. But yeah. Anyway, please share this video. Again, this is the only forum that we have to get this information out. This is the information that will not be shown or told on the Channel 7 News. They're going to tell you how they're going to reduce your your income tax by $500 a year. Wow. You know, that's great. How about you get rid of it altogether because it's unlawful anyway? How about that? And then the Australian put some, you know, take some burden off the Australian people. Let's stimulate the economy. Let's get things going again. Why are we sending it offshore? Why are we doing this? Because we believe we have to. We believe we have to. The common reputation. That's all it is. We are the power and the authority. So that's it. Thanks for watching. I don't see any other questions. Thanks, Redmar. Toby, yeah, I've been waiting for that video of you getting pulled over. Freedom to travel without being randomly stopped, absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to putting that video on. A little bit hesitant because, you know, I didn't do everything maybe as well as I could have, but that's my own personal, you know, whatever that's called. So thanks for watching. Hey, Layla. And I hope you have a great night. Please share the video. Please share it. Please share it. Exactly, Redma. Peace. Power to the people. That's us.